Okay, I got this much done. It says Hughes on it, so it might not be original. I don't know. No.
On this episode of Lady K Sailing, we take out our smelly old boat toilet and we install a shiny new Nature's Head.
So today is the job I've been dreading. I'm going to take out the old toilet, and the old toilet was a typical sailboat or typical marine setup where there's the toilet and then somewhere else in the boat there's a holding tank for the black water, all the stuff that gets flushed down the toilet. So in this boat, I'll show you, we have the toilet and there's some red antifreeze in there right now so that it didn't freeze over the winter. Very minimal amount of space there. It's almost like that's the only toilet that could fit. Anyway, when you flush the toilet, it goes down the big yellow hose, which used to be white, to give you an idea of how old the system is, and it goes into this locker, and ultimately it goes into the V-berth, which will be Matthew's bedroom at some point. But anyway, it goes into this tank, and there's this huge plastic tank right here. Obviously it's empty because we emptied it for the winter, but the problem is those hoses need to be replaced and the tank eventually needs to be replaced, and when they start to get bad, the smell starts to seep through the hoses. Like it permeates through the actual plastic and rubber that the hose is made out of. So that was our problem last year, is there was just a really not great smell coming from that whole system. So what we've decided to do, as some of you might know, is to go with a Nature's Head Composting Toilet. I'll explain more about what that is when I start installing it, and I can actually show you. It came in the mail the other day, but before we can, it's actually here, it's in the back seat of the car right now. But before we can get to that, I have to get all of that old stuff out of here. So I got my saw, because there's no way that tank's going to fit up through the openings. If you look, the tank is quite big and the opening is quite small. So it's probably going to have to come out in many, many small pieces. So that's today's job, is get the old septic toilet system completely out of the boat. Should be fun. This sucks. This is a shit job. It's a very shitty job. Okay, I got this much done. It says Hughes on it, so it might not be original. I don't know. No. Maybe it is. You probably can't see very well in there, but there's not a lot left. It's the bottom half of the tank now. I don't want to cut it down the middle because there's still a little bit of waste in the bottom. I'd like to have it come out as a whole so I can dispose of it properly, but not pour it into the bilge stuff yet. Day 2, March 31st. It's a bit chilly, but we have less than a month. Actually, we have 3 weeks. Tomorrow it'll be 3 weeks till the boat goes in the water. It's pretty cold. I think it's like 5 degrees. It's supposed to go up to like 8 degrees today or 10 degrees. It's 9 a.m. Saturday, Easter weekend, and day 2 of the toilet fiasco. So we know that the new Nature's Head, that thing, fits in the bathroom, but just barely. The problem now is there's these studs where the old toilet mounts, and they're pretty standardized. You can see the shape of a regular Jobsco head. So I need to cut those studs off. I can't get into this chamber by any means unless I cut an access hole, and I'd like to avoid that. So now I'm just going to cut the studs off, and then we're going to figure out how to mount the toilet. So the vent hose from the toilet that goes to the tank, not the vent hose, but the hose that goes from the toilet when you pump it into the black water tank has to come up first to make sure that nothing flows backwards back to the toilet. So I took apart the cabinet, and inside there's a wall that I took out. I just unscrewed, and this is the vent line. It comes all the way up, does a U-turn, and then goes down to the black water tank, and it runs through the whole cabinetry. So I gotta take it apart. Oh, ew, that's gross. Anyway, the boat smells a lot better now than it did the other day, on day 1 when I was here, because now there's no holding tank and there's no toilet. So the smell is already starting to go away. We're still going to power wash the crap out of everything, and probably do some paint in the lockers up front. Whew, so the toilet fits. I haven't bolted it down yet, but there's a couple things you got to be conscious of when you do bolt it down. One of the things is the vent line right here has to come out the side. You can come out either side, it's reversible, but you have to account for that. The spin handle that is basically your agitator in the bottom of the solids tank. And then when you have very, very limited space, I'm just going to stand on it so that it doesn't move. When the toilet comes apart, so that you can empty it or clean it, it has to slide this way to come off. There's a hinge there, so you have to leave enough room for it to go to the left so it comes off. And right now I think it's about as good as it's going to get. So I'm going to bolt it down. Second last step of the toilet is to run a vent. So the bottom chamber, the solids container, needs a vent. It comes with this apparently 5 feet of hose, which happens to be the same size hose as the boat originally used for the line that went from the toilet to the black water tank and then out to the deck fitting where you pump the black water tank out. So right now in the front there is the line that goes up to the deck. It goes up through by the anchor locker and then up to the deck. So I'm going to reuse that line for my vent line since it's already the same size as the hose that this came with. It comes back into here, and then this is where the tank used to be. So we're going to run it through there, and then there's already a hole in the wall in there that goes to the bathroom. So actually all I'll need to do is connect this one to that one and the other end of this one to the toilet. I'll have to extend it a little bit, probably use PVC or something. But here we go. Need a hose clamp. Stick that through there. There it is. So it's got to come in and then it's got to go through the hole down here that brings it into the actual bathroom area. Okay. And then it goes onto here where the fan is. There's a little computer fan in there. The only caveat is this has to be able to move. So this goes up and down. So you'll need a little bit of, I mean, it's only a couple inches, but you'll need to leave enough hose on the outside to accommodate that movement. So I'll bring a little bit extra out here, and that should do it. Yeah, like that. Alright, and then it came with a coupler that I'm not entirely sure where I put. Probably back in the bathroom. Yeah. And the coupler goes on and it connects the two, so you don't even really need hose clamps. It's not a pressure line anyway, it's strictly for air to vent. Anyway, the last step is going to be wiring it. That computer fan needs power, so I think I'm going to tap into that light, because those lights, actually I may run a solid line all the way back to the battery. I have a fuse box in the battery bay specifically for constant power items, so it's right there, here, and its job, it goes straight to the battery. It's not switched, so it runs the bilge pump, because you always want power to the bilge pump, and it also runs the constant power to the stereo, so that the stereo doesn't forget all of its settings. I think that's all that goes to that block, but it's a constant power block, so I may find a way to run a line through the bilge and up into the bathroom. Seems legit.
We're headed for adventure, our worries left behind. Taken to the water, fun rising like the tide. With open skies above us, we'll be running side by side. Come on, away the anchor, we're casting off the line. We've got the destination, the journey is divine. Welcome to the story of living our bold life. We're doing it our own way on Lady K. We're sailing away on Lady K.
It's working! Yay!
If you liked this episode of Lady K Sailing, please consider joining us on Patreon, where you can send us as little as $1 or $2 every time we release a new episode. Your contribution helps us continue sharing this adventure and keeps the dream alive. Becoming a patron also gives you early access to new videos and the password to our secret treasures section at ladykSailing.com, where you can find all sorts of cool stuff.